And we have a verdict, and Trump is guilty on all counts. So, let's just get right to the article. Donald Trump became the first former American president to be convicted of felony crimes Thursday, as a New York jury found him guilty of all 34 charges in a scheme to illegally influence the 2016 election through a hush money payment to a porn actor who said the two had sex. Trump sat stone-faced while the verdict was read, as cheering from the street below could be heard in the hallway or on the courthouse's 15th floor, where the decision was revealed after more than 9 hours of deliberations. Now, before I continue, when they talk about Karen McDougal, nobody constantly calls her Playboy Playmate Karen McDougal. But with Stormy Daniels, either she's the porn star or the porn star Stormy Daniels. Like, there's nothing else to her than the fact she's a porn star. It's really annoying. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial, an angry Trump told reporters after leaving the courtroom. Yeah, he's been saying that from day one. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. They know what happened, and everyone knows what happened here. Yeah, because it's being broadcast everywhere. So, yes, everybody's going to know. But he's right. This is not going to stop him from running. I've even heard someone, a legal expert, say that most people do not get jail time in their first offense. So that Trump will most likely not get jail time. So yeah, he might be a convicted felon, but that doesn't stop him from running for president. So absolutely, he's right. This is going to be decided on November 5th, and I am so proud that he actually knew what date the election was. But hopefully people will look at that and say, do we really want a convicted felon? I heard a legal expert saying how this is going to make it less likely he'll be elected because of not that this will make it less likely he'll be elected, but his other trials the fact that they won't be completed before the election will be less important. And I think no, because a lot of people will think, oh, but that's just a hush money payment. Who cares? That they're not going to care so much about this. They're going to care more about January 6th or the classified documents and the fact that he wouldn't give them back, rather than this particular white-collar crime. So, yeah, I disagree with Jan Crawford on that one. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get jail time, even if it was less rare that people didn't get jail time on their first offense. I still wouldn't think that Trump would get jail time because he's Trump. All right, and let's continue. Judge Juan Merchan said sentencing for July 11th, just days before the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, where GOP leaders who remained resolute in their support in the immediate aftermath of the verdict are expected to formally make him their nominee. Yes, because he has successfully made the party his party. Nothing can be done that he wouldn't like. So, yeah. The verdict is a stunning legal reckoning for Trump. Is it stunning, though? and exposes him to potential prison time in the city where his manipulations of the tabloid press helped catapult him from a real estate tycoon to reality television star and ultimately president. As he seeks to reclaim the White House in this year's election, the judgment presents voters with another test of their willingness to accept Trump's boundary-breaking behavior. And I saw a poll that says that like 15% of respondents would be more likely to vote for him if he was convicted. I don't know what badge of honor they think this is, but okay. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the poll numbers now that he's been convicted, which way they're going to go. Hopefully they start going more for Biden, but yeah. Trump is expected to quickly appeal the verdict, shocking, and will face an awkward dynamic as he returns to the campaign trail with felony convictions. There are no campaign rallies on the calendar for now, though he's expected to hold fundraisers next week. And I'm sure he's going to whine about this trial as a vehicle for his fundraising. The falsifying business records charge carry up to 4 years behind bars, though Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg would not say Thursday if prosecutors intended to seek imprisonment, and it is not clear whether the judge, who early in the trial warned of jail time for gag order violations, would impose that punishment even if asked. Like I said, I would be shocked if he does. The conviction and even imprisonment will not bar Trump from continuing his pursuit of the White House. Trump faces 3 other felony indictments, but the New York case may be the only one to reach a conclusion before the November election, adding to the significance of the outcome. Through the legal and historical implications of the verdict are readily apparent, the political consequences are less so, given its potential to reinforce rather than reshape already hardened opinions about Trump. Ahead of the verdict, Trump's campaign had argued that no matter what the jury decided, the outcome was unlikely to sway voters, and that the election would instead be decided by issues such as inflation. Again, he's not wrong. Maybe he thinks that he's got the upper hand on said issues, but the first part especially is completely correct, because there are people on both sides that have hardened opinions on him. Those who are his sycophants, who have been with him ever from the very beginning and haven't left him even after January 6th, yeah, they're not going anywhere. This is not going to change their minds about anything. And for those of us who absolutely loathe him, yeah, that's not going to change us either, because we're going to still loathe him. But, and, that might be the reason, and issues like inflation might be one of the reasons, or I should actually even more so might be Biden's handling of Gaza, that people will, lodge protest votes and Trump will squeak in because, more of his sycophants will stick with him than people who are pro-Biden would stick with him because, they care more about what Biden's doing and completely ignore what will happen if Trump gets back into power. So, yeah, sometimes he says truthful things. For another candidate in another time, a criminal conviction might doom a presidential run. But Trump's political career has endured through 2 impeachments, allegations of sexual abuse, investigations into everything from potential ties to Russia to plotting to overturn an election, and personally salacious storylines, including the emergence of a recording in which he boasted about grabbing women's genitals. In addition, the general allegations of the case have been known to voters for years, and while tawdry, are widely seen as less grievous than the allegations he faces in 3 other cases that charge him with subverting American democracy and mishandling national security secrets. Exactly. And I completely agree with that. Because, yes, he's being held accountable. That's great. But when it comes to who you want as president of the United States, this might seem rather immaterial. You know, that they're not going to care if you falsify business records. They care about how you would run the country. And if you're the kind of person who will try to subvert American democracy or be willy-nilly with national secrets when it comes to even our allies, our enemies, whatever, that's a more salient issue. So I can see why there might be people who wouldn't care. Even so, the verdict is likely to give President Joe Biden and fellow Democrats space to sharpen arguments that Trump is unfit for office, though for now the White House offered only a muted statement saying that it respected the rule of law. On the other hand, the decision will also provide fodder for the presumptive Republican nominee to advance his unsupported claims that he is victimized by a criminal justice system he insists is politically motivated against him. The poor, poor billionaire. Everybody's just out to get him. That's why he's still a billionaire. Actually, considering he's lied about how much he's worth, maybe he's not even a billionaire. Who knows? Anyway. What else was I going to mention? Oh, yes, I saw some tweets from celebrities, and I can't remember who tweeted this, but they tweeted, "Congratulations to Trump for finally winning a popular vote," upon hearing of the guilty verdict. So, Trump maintained throughout the trial that he has done nothing wrong and that the case should never have been brought, railing against the proceedings from inside the courthouse, where he was joined by a parade of high-profile Republican allies and racking up fines for violating a gag order with inflammatory out-of-court comments about witnesses. So, yeah, nothing new. Republicans showed no signs of loosening their embrace of the party leader, with House Speaker Mike Johnson releasing a statement lamenting what he called a shameful day in American history. He called the case a purely political exercise, not a legal one. And yet, there has been no evidence that it's a political exercise. Biden had nothing to do with it. I understand that Trump wants to make the DOJ his personal attack dog, but just because you want that doesn't mean that that's the DOJ's job or the Attorney General's job. That's not the way that works. So because he wants to strike out against people using the DOJ, he thinks Biden's doing that. And no, he's not. That's why he's not even speaking about it, because he knows that he can't, because then it would justify Trump's babbling. The first criminal trial of a former American president always presented a unique test of the court system, not only because of Trump's prominence, but also because of his relentless verbal attacks on the foundation of the case and its participants. But the verdict from the 12-person jury marked a repudiation of Trump's efforts to undermine confidence in the proceedings or to potentially impress the panel with a show of GOP support. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he claims that it's a political exercise. It's a political exercise. The only person who's making it political is you. I mean, you're bringing out the GOP like, oh, people will side with me because they're going to be impressed with my powerful friends. No. No. People are judging on the merit. They don't care who your friends are. Or maybe they saw the one brain cell brigade and decided, oh my God, he's dumber than we think. I guess that's possible, but highly unlikely because it's a 12-person jury. Even if one person did that, you're not going to get 12 people doing that. While this defendant may be unlike any other in American history, we arrived at this trial and ultimately today in this verdict in the same manner as every other case that comes through the courtroom doors, by following the facts and the law and doing so without a fear or favor, Bragg told reporters after the verdict. Exactly. For all of Trump whining that there's a two-tier system and that there's a two-tier system, I assume, one against everybody else and one against Trump. But if you just think about it, there is a two-tier system. Rich people usually get away with shit. And that's why Trump is upset. Because people are starting to say, no, rich people can't get away with shit. Just because you're rich doesn't mean you can get away with everything. We're going to treat you just like everybody else. So, yeah. So, there's still racism. So, in a sense, there's still a two-tier system. But it's blurring. It's no longer an obvious two-tier system. And that's what Trump is upset about. Not that there's a two-tier system. Even though he says there's one, he's upset that he doesn't benefit from the fact that he's rich. The trial involved charges that Trump falsified business records to cover up hush money payments to Stormy Daniels, the porn actor who said she had sex with the married Trump in 2006. Again, they cannot mention Stormy Daniels without saying she does porn. I mean, come on. Again, they did not do this with Karen McDougal. Why are they doing this with Stormy? And I think that if she hadn't been in porn, if she was in sales, they wouldn't constantly harp on her profession then. The $130,000 payment was made by Trump's former lawyer and personal fixer, Michael Cohen, to buy Daniels' silence during the final weeks of the 2016 race in what prosecutors allege was an effort to interfere in the election. When Cohen was reimbursed, the payments were recorded as legal expenses, which prosecutors said was an unlawful attempt to mask the true purpose of the transaction. Trump's lawyers contend they were legitimate payments for legal services. Right, because everything you do through a lawyer is legal services. You could talk about the weather and it's still legal services, by that logic. Oh, yes, and one more thing. They also had to point out in this article that Trump was married. I'm sorry. I don't care if he was married at the time. He still committed a crime. He still falsified business records. The fact that he was married has zero to do with this. It is the fact that he falsified business records. I mean, yes, I'm sure there are some people who might have a problem with the fact that he was married. But considering we've known about this for a while and people still vote for him, I'm going to say those people really don't care. All right. Trump has denied the sexual encounter, and his lawyers argued during the trial that his celebrity status, particularly during the 2016 campaign, made him a target for extortion. They've said hush money deals to bury negative stories about Trump were motivated by personal considerations, such as the impact on his family and brand as a businessman, not political ones. They also sought to undermine the credibility of Cohen, the star prosecution witness who pleaded guilty in 2018 to federal charges related to the payments, as driven by personal animus toward Trump as well as fame and money. Notice he's always complaining that everybody wants to step on him for fame and money. It's as if this is a tell that that's all he cares about. Oh yeah, that is all he cares about. But anyway, let's unpack this. I know I've discussed this before. Now, granted, maybe he isn't a target. He is a target for extortion. I'm not going to say that that's not possible. However, that does not mean that shit did not happen. That receipts were brought. So, yes, he might want to do that for personal reasons as well. Like was pointed out by Hope Hicks, that he didn't want Melania to find out about it. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that that was the main motivation. It could have been a motivation. And as far as his brand as a businessman, okay, I have heard people on Fox Business claim that all businessmen do, falsify business records. So the fact that he slept with a porn star, I'm sure there are plenty of sleazy businessmen who wouldn't give a shit. So no, I don't believe that at all. Actually, some might see that as a badge of honor. So no, I just don't see that as being legit. As far as undermining the credibility of Cohen, again, everything he testified to was corroborated by previous witnesses. The only thing he said that wasn't corroborated and people are pouncing on as if it's gospel, but everything else he said isn't, is the fact that he stole from the Trump Organization. Somehow, everything out of his mouth was a lie, except for that. Suddenly, that's not a lie. So, is he a pathological liar who just hates Trump? Or does he tell the truth? You can't have both. And as far as the fact that he had a personal animus towards Trump, yeah, he did, but that was probably because Trump let him get sold out up the river. So, yeah, he has a personal reason to hate Trump, but that stems from the crimes Trump made him do. I mean, the trial featured more than 4 weeks of occasionally riveting testimony that revisited an already well-documented chapter from Trump's past, when his 2016 campaign was threatened by the disclosure of an Access Hollywood recording that captured him talking about and grabbing women sexually without their permission, and the prospect of other stories about Trump and sex surfacing that would be harmful to his candidacy. So, let's face it. Even if, oh boy, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Anyway, where was I? So, after the disclosure of the Access Hollywood tape, the fact that this came out about Stormy Daniels should surprise absolutely nobody. So, let's see here. Trump himself did not testify, which was probably the only smart thing he did. But jurors heard his voice through a secret recording of a conversation with Cohen in which he and the lawyer discussed a $150,000 hush money deal involving a Playboy model, Karen McDougal, who had said she had an affair with Trump. "What do we get to pay for this? $150,000?" Trump was heard saying on the recording made by Cohen. Oh wow, they did mention she was a Playboy model. I stand corrected. Daniels herself testified, offering at times a graphic recounting of the sexual encounter she says they had in a hotel suite during a Lake Tahoe golf tournament. The former publisher of the National Enquirer, David Pecker, testified about how he worked to keep stories harmful to the Trump campaign from becoming public at all, including by having his company buy McDougal's story. Exactly, but nobody attacks David Pecker's character or that he's lying. No, it's just Michael Cohen, because everything that David Pecker said to corroborate it just magically went away when Michael Cohen said it. Jurors also heard from Keith Davidson, the lawyer who negotiated the hush money payments on behalf of Daniels and McDougal. He detailed the tense negotiations to get both women compensated for their silence, but also faced an aggressive round of questioning from a Trump attorney who noted that Davidson had helped broker similar hush money deals in cases involving other prominent figures. So what? Because he's the king of hush money deals, that somehow makes it void? That the hush money payments didn't happen because he's done others? I'm not sure what exactly they're implying by that. But the most pivotal witness by far was Cohen, who spent days on the stand and gave jurors an insider's view of the hush money scheme when what he said was Trump's detailed knowledge of it. "Just take care of it," he quoted Trump as saying at one point. He offered jurors the most direct link between Trump and the heart of the charges, recounting a meeting in which they and the then chief financial officer of Trump Organization described a plan to have Cohen reimbursed in monthly installment for legal services. And he emotionally described his dramatic break with Trump in 2018 when he decided to cooperate with prosecutors after a decades-long career as the then president's personal fixer. "To keep the loyalty and to do the things that he had asked me to do, I violated my moral compass, and I suffered the penalty, as has my family," Cohen told the jury. The hush money case, though criticized by some legal experts who called it the weakest of the 4 prosecutions against Trump, took on added importance not only because it proceeded to trial first, but also because it could be the only one of the cases to reach a jury before the election. The other 3 local and federal cases in Atlanta and Washington that he conspired to undo the 2020 election, as well as a federal indictment in Florida charging him with illegally hoarding top-secret records, are bogged down by delays or appeals. So that is the end of that article and the end of this trial, thank God. So, with that, I believe I have nothing else to say, nothing else to add. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.